And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Chris versus Morin. Step forward, please.
Mary Chris and her son Jason are suing Jason's ex-fiancée, 23-year-old Angelina Morin, for a loan to buy a car and the return of an engagement ring.
Mr. Chris, this is your mom.
Yes, ma'am.
And this is your former fiancée.
Yes, ma'am.
You want your engagement ring back.
Yes.
And she says she has it, you could have it back. Bird, would you take it from her and give it to him? She doesn't want it, she just didn't want you to come and get it. Good. Now you can sit down. It is your claim that you loaned Miss Morin
Yes, ma'am.
money for the down payment on a car for her.
Yes, ma'am.
That is while she was engaged to your son.
It was before they got engaged.
Before they got engaged. And she was married at the time that she became engaged to your son. She subsequently reconciled with her husband, and you want the loan back.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Morin says that this was a gift to her. There was never any discussion of the repayment of a loan. It only became a loan when she went back and reconciled with her husband.
Yes, ma'am.
On what date did you advance this money to Ms. Morin for the down
November
payment on a
25th.
car? Let me finish
Oh,
my
I'm
question.
sorry.
On what date did you advance money to Ms. Morin for the car?
On November 25th of 2005.
And on what date did you reconcile with your husband?
Sometimes in the end of January, ma'am. Middle of January, sorry.
Within 60 days.
Yes, ma'am.
Who has the car?
I do, ma'am.
What kind of car do you have?
It's a 2004 Mitsubishi Lancer.
Did you have a car before?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of a car did you have?
A 96 Honda Accord.
Why did you get a new one?
I was just looking to get another car, so it would help take some of the miles off of the other vehicle.
Now, who did you go to look for a car with?
With Jason Chris.
And you weren't engaged at the time?
No, ma'am.
You went to the dealership?
Yes, ma'am.
And you needed more money for a down payment?
Yes, ma'am.
Because you didn't have enough credit to
Yes, ma'am.
get a smaller down payment?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you call his mother?
No, ma'am.
Who called his mother?
Jason did.
So far, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What do you do for a living, Miss Chris?
I'm a waitress.
Who else lives in your house?
My husband, my daughter, my granddaughter, and my son.
What does your husband do for a living?
He just got a new job. He's drives parts for a car company.
Your daughter lives with you?
Yes, ma'am.
And granddaughter?
Yes, ma'am.
Who supports them?
Their husband. They had sold their home, and they moved in with me until they buy a new home, which is in the process right now.
So, do you live in your own home?
I rent.
And how long have you worked as a waitress?
And the job I'm at now, I've been there for 25 years. I have been a waitress for 40 years.
Now, how much money did your son need when he called you?
Well, there was no talk of down payment on a car or anything. They wanted me to come down because I know the general manager to help her see if we can get a better deal for her car. And they told her the best they could do was $2,000 down. She said she didn't have it. They talked it over, asked me. I said, let me talk.
Who asked you?
They both did.
Go ahead.
And they said, let me talk it over with my husband. He said, whatever I decide is fine. I let her know I just paid this card off. I don't owe any money on it. I'll put the $2,000 down, but you have to make the payments. And when you sell your Honda, because she told me she was going to sell the Honda, then you pay the card off, interest and all. She said, that's fine. And in January 8th, she had given me a payment of $100. And that was the last time I seen her or any of my money.
What kind of paperwork do you have there?
Just the registration.
I'd like to see it.
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of work do you do, Miss Morin?
I'm a dispatcher, ma'am.
How long have you done that?
For a year.
Who is this?
My husband.
What does he do for a living?
He's a mechanic.
Does he work?
Yes, ma'am.
Full-time?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. You have children?
Yes, ma'am.
How many?
One and one on the way.
The child lives
Yes,
with you?
ma'am.
Good. And you have this car?
Yes, ma'am.
How much money did she give you for a down payment?
$2,000, ma'am.
You think she has a lot of money?
No, ma'am.
You paid her $100 back?
No, ma'am.
You paid her nothing back?
No, ma'am.
She says you paid her $100 back.
No, ma'am.
Well, you paid $100 on the card.
No, ma'am.
Didn't. Good.
Judge Judy, I have...
listen to me.
Oh, no. This is concerning the car. They're coming after me for money on the car. She hasn't made the payments. She's late. They're calling me at work.
You co-signed on a loan, too?
I co-signed on the car for her. My name is on the co-signed card. I was being too generous.
Miss Chris, unfortunately, I can't help you with regard to that. We have a limited jurisdiction here. You are not a very good judge of character.
No, ma'am.
Neither was your son. You're suing her for $2,800, which includes the engagement ring, which your son now has.
Yes.
The other $2,000 is for the down payment on the car. The $2,000 that you loaned to her, you're going to get back.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, you have your choice. Either I will cut an order, madam, listen to me very
Yes, ma'am.
carefully, turning the car over to the plaintiff so that she can sell it and get her money back, or you return this money to her. That's your choice.
Yes, ma'am.
What's your choice?
I'll keep the car, ma'am.
I am going to keep the registration on your car until I am satisfied that you've made all the payments and that you have insurance on the car.
Yes, ma'am.
Otherwise, you don't get it back.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
So you better get that fast.
Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,000. That's all.
Thank you.
Unexcused. You may step out.
She said she was getting a divorce and she never got a divorce. She lied.
That I got back with my husband and not her son. Not with her son.
It wasn't because she broke up with my son. I'm so happy she did.
Probably because I just didn't want to stay with him.
She's a user, and people watch out for Angelina because she's a user.
I hope I can get her name off as soon as possible, and that's it.
I think it was fair. I think we got what we came here for.
Done and over with.
Don't fall in love too quick, I guess.
Thing he could have done to our life. He did. And he
Well-
was not raised to be like this, I can guarantee you.
Is he still with the same person that he left for?
Yes, he is.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Grow up. You made 4 children. You're being ruled here instead of here. Here, what you're supposed to do is say, my children come first.
Absolutely.
First.
And later today,
There was a car coming. They were doing something. They waved me to go. I went to go, but another car cut in front of me. When I went to go around that car, she was already coming full force and we hit head on.
Zaghi is suing his friend's neighbor, Michelle Borowski, for breaking his windshield with a rock. Michelle claims Sean tried to run her over.
All rise. Now, this is case number 181 on the calendar in the matter of Zaghi versus Borowski. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Gentlemen,
Thank you, Bert.
have a seat. You're welcome.
Mr. Zaghi, I've read your complaint very carefully, sir. It is your allegation that you went to pick up a friend.
Yes, sir.
Who was
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
at a party or someone's house. At some point, either one or both of them asked you to book the tickets for them because you were booking a block of tickets.
Correct.
You did that. Somebody had an emergency in the family. Who was it? You.
Yes.
And they told you they weren't going. Tickets that you purchased on your credit card were non-refundable. You want them to assume the responsibility for those tickets. They do not deny that they asked you to book the tickets, correct?
Correct.
And they do not deny that you booked the tickets, correct?
Correct.
So I now hear your defense.
The reason why I can't go on the trip is because my father ill. He has bad diabetes, and had paperwork here for my job. I only had 4 vacation days left for my job, so during that time I was going to use those 4 days to go down on the trip. And I stated to her that I have FMLA for my father.
You have
that
what?
FMLA is like family leave for my job, and when you use the time up for my father, they took my vacation days from me. So that's the main reason why I really can't go on the trip. And I didn't tell her to book it on her credit card. She didn't tell us nothing about it going on her credit card. She didn't tell
Well, what
me.
did you think she was going to do, pay cash?
No, we had a due date to give her the rest of the money. We gave her $500 down to reserve part of it, and she said she'd give us the rest of the money on June 10th, give her the rest of the $2,300 to give to her. So I was going to give her that money on the due date. She didn't say nothing about no credit card or nothing like that. I was paying cash for it. I didn't tell her to do it on a credit card. She took it a month herself to put it on her credit card.
What's your name, Bolden?
Yes.
Get it together. Maybe 0.1% of the people in this country, when they book a vacation, go to the airlines and pay them cash.
Yeah.
I don't know a soul that does that, and I know a lot of people. Did you ever go down to the airlines in the past 10 years and pay them in cash?
No.
You use your credit card.
That's
Call
right.
up. Or you go book online, you type in your credit card, you give the operator your credit card, and that's the way you book a ticket to go away.
She didn't tell me.
Listen! She doesn't have to tell you unless you're living on Pluto. I want you to look out at the gallery here in court today. Turn around. How many of you have been on an airline within the last 5 years? Raise your hands. Turn around, look. Put your hands down. How many of you have gone and paid cash to the airline for your ticket? Raise your hand. You got it?
Yeah.
That doesn't happen. People don't do that. How much does he owe you?
In total, $972.58. She had called my house and said it was $890-some. She never said nothing about no $900 and some dollars.
Well, what do you think happens to the $876 when you don't pay it at all?
Well, she could have told us that first if she was putting something on a credit card, because we're not the only people that she did that to.
Yeah, because I have
She did it to you. What do you
She's
mean
not
she
the
did
only
it
person.
To you. Do you have children?
I have 3.
How old are you?
25.
Ay. Listen, I'm going to waste not one further moment on this case. Between the two of them, I don't think we can put together a 3-digit IQ. I'm not going to be able to explain that to them. Is that what's on the credit card for their portion of the trip?
Correct.
$972. That's what you owe her. Pay her.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Just to make extra money in her pocket, that's all.
It's about the principal and the money. It doesn't matter because we don't get along with her anyway. I can move on. Whatever.
Whatever.
24-year-old Piero Fanini is suing Chris Barabee for denting his truck with his head. Piero claims a drunken Chris fell into his vehicle during a USC football game.
Yeah, this is case number 25 on the calendar in the matter of Fanini versus Barabee.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Mr. Fanini, you are not a witness to the events that took place during this ball game, but it is your claim that the defendant, probably while drunk, dented your car using his head.
Correct.
He fell or tripped over, fell or tripped or whatever, but
Correct.
damaged your car. The defendant vigorously denies the allegations. I'm not certain whether he recalls what happened on that day, but he says that that just could not have happened. Give me the date of this incident.
It was
please.
December 3rd, 2005,
Where was it?
in downtown Los Angeles at the Coliseum, Los Angeles Coliseum.
How did were you advised that your car was damaged?
I was exiting the game maybe a couple minutes early, and I just got back to my
Look
car.
at me. Stay focused on me.
I got back to my car. Well, my witness, Jordan, was calling me. Guess the calls weren't going through. I got back to my car, and he told me the whole story. I guess he talked to the police. The whole situation was over when I got back to my car.
Okay. You're Jordan?
Yes.
Jordan, you have a last name?
Yusum.
Had you gone to the game together?
It was in the same car we went together, yes.
Why were you exiting separately?
I never got into the game. I don't have season tickets to the game. And we usually just end up buying tickets in the parking lot because it was a big game. Tickets were either too expensive or I just couldn't find tickets to get into the game.
So what did you do? You stayed out in the car?
Yeah, me and a buddy, we tailgate at the game, we barbecue, we bring a TV.
Is that what tailgating means? I wasn't sure. I read it in your complaint. It means you opened up the tailgate of the car and you sort of have a picnic in the parking lot.
You have a picnic, a barbecue, we
Got
bring
it.
a TV, watch the pregame.
And they don't mind that you do that?
No. Football game, a lot of people do it at this particular parking lot. People get there early.
So you were outside.
Yes.
What happened?
It was towards the fourth quarter of the game. In the fourth quarter of the game, I was sitting at the back driver's side rear, outside of the car, watching the TV that was sitting in the tailgate or in the trunk of Piero's truck.
Can I interject?
No.
Thanks.
I had a sight line down the driver's side of the car and noticed out of the corner of my eye that someone had fallen at the front of Piero's car. I got up to see what had happened. I noticed there was a large dent in the front of Piero's car. I turned around for whatever reason, and there were actually two police officers on bicycles right behind me. I got their attention. By the time they came back and turned around within a matter of a few seconds, the person who had dented the car was gone. I described to the police officers what he looked like.
Do you recall what description you gave to the police officers?
Tall white guy, about 6'6".
Had you actually seen him either fall or get up after he fell?
No, I saw him at the base of the car. The dent is right above the front driver's side wheel, and I saw him basically on the ground right there. When I went to go see what happened, I saw there was a dent in the car.
Now, when you went to see what happened, what did this person do?
He was still on the ground. He didn't do anything at that point. I noticed there was a dent, and because it wasn't my car, I didn't want to get involved in it. I had nothing really to do with it. I turned around for whatever reason. There happened to be two police officers there. By the time I got their attention and they came over to me, it was a matter of 10 feet. The person who was at the base of the car was gone at that point.
So you actually saw the face of the person who dented the car?
No, I believe I saw their back.
Did you describe their clothing?
No.
Okay, so you saw only the back?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Described to the police officers what the person looked like. The police officers on the bicycle.
From the back?
From the back, yeah. Basically a tall white guy.
And you could tell that from his position on the ground?
Yeah, he was a big guy on the ground.
Okay.
Described to the police officers, they biked around within a few cars, 25-yard circle for a minute or so. Didn't see anyone. They came back to where I was at the car, and I asked them, I said, can I get a report so I can give it to my friend so he can go to his insurance or whatever he wants to do? While we're in the process of doing this or getting the paperwork, the defendant walks right by us, me and the two police officers, and I told the police officer, said, that's the guy who fell the car.
How did you know that?
I recognized his clothing, and it looked just like the guy. There was nothing...
You didn't see his face. You just saw him from the back.
I didn't see his face, but he fit exactly the mold of what I saw there. I didn't see anything that was particularly unique about him, but he happened to walk right by us, and he matched the best description that I had that I gave to the police officers.
Okay.
And in fact, they actually pointed him out to me. They said, "Is that the guy?" And I said, "Yeah, that's him."
Go ahead.
So they pulled him over, and he attempted to talk to me to resolve the situation.
What did he say to you?
He said, if I remember correctly, you know, can I pay you right now, or how can we get this resolved without getting the police involved?
He said to you?
Yes, he was trying to speak to me.
But he said, can I pay you? Is that what he said?
I think that's what he was trying to get.
Not trying to get. What did he say?
He didn't say pay me. He said, could we resolve this now? But it's not my car. I wasn't in a place to resolve it for Piero.
So you said no?
I actually told the police officer, I said, I'm not going to speak to him. I'll speak to you. I have nothing to say to him. It's not my car. It's not my place. If you can just get a report so I can give it to Piero and he can deal with it.
Fine. And this was the person who you had this brief conversation with subsequent to seeing someone who matched his description on the ground near a dent?
Yes.
Can I see pictures of the car, please?
Picture of the car, and this is where it happened.
Mr. Fanini, you never had a conversation with the defendant, or did you?
I did have 2 conversations with the defendant.
Your first conversation was when?
It was about maybe 2-3 weeks after.
Did you call him?
Yes, I did.
And what did you say to him, and what did he say to you?
He basically said, you know, this is an unfortunate situation, like, hopefully we can resolve this, and he offered to pay for half of it.
For half the dent?
The damages. Because I sent him an email, I have a string of emails sending him the damages and the field interview card. It's not a police report, but it's
Do you have any reply emails from him?
Yes, I do.
Can I see them, please?
This is the police thing, and that's...
Okay, sir. Now I'll hear you.
I was at the football game. I was tailgating in the same environment, obviously. At no point did I dent his car. I'd like to bring up how he recognized me being tall, just being on the ground, as one of the first inconsistencies in this whole story. Police officer grabbed my arm, said, "I need your information." I had no idea what he was talking about. It kind of came as a shock. Michelle was there. She saw that happen.
Michelle just saw the police officer
No,
take your arm.
Michelle was with me the whole time.
That's not true. And even Michelle's not going to say that to me because she doesn't want to wind up in my mouth.
I was with him the whole time.
No, you weren't. What do you do for a living, sir?
I'm a salesman.
What do you sell?
Promotional merchandise for conferences.
Are you a good salesman?
Sometimes.
So you're a businessman?
Yes.
Do you have people who work for you, or do you work for somebody else?
I'm self-employed.
Do you have employees?
No.
So you do this all yourself?
Yes, it's challenging.
Let's say you get an order from a big company, and they're going to buy 1,000 cups. You call the people who make the cups and say, I want 1,000 cups, and I want this logo on it.
Correct.
Judge Judy.
I can do that.
And then all of a sudden, the people who make these cups call me and say, you know what? We can make it for you for half the cost. What do we need Chris for? We don't need Christopher for anything. You know, what is he doing? He's going to deliver them to you. That's ridiculous. Would you be angry? Of course you would be, because you want what you're entitled to. You wouldn't want to take credit for something that you didn't do. You made the sale. Somebody's trying to knock you out of the sale. So you're a businessman. I've just read a series of emails, Christopher. And in those series of emails, you clearly say to Mr. Fanini that you are prepared to accept the responsibility for this. No, listen to me very carefully, sir.
I just agreed to at least meet and see what this is all
No,
about.
that's not true, sir. That's not true. That's a big fib, Chris. Sometimes you have to have a good memory, because if you never lie and if you always tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory. The last thing that you say to him in your email was, I'll take the estimates and pictures to my family auto repair guy and see what he quotes us.
Yeah.
I'd see what he quotes us. Now, you're doing this because all of a sudden you became enamored with Mr. Fanini?
The whole reason I'm doing this is because his friend had the police threaten me, and I don't know what this whole police report is all about, and I'm obviously fearing some sort of police involvement with something I have nothing to do. So I'm just trying to be a respectable person and talk with him about it. That's what I'm trying to do.
Oh, please. Oh, please. Remember when I talked to you about the cup? You want the right people to get paid. You want the right people to get the credit. You want the wrong people to be let go. And Chris, 6 foot, I don't know, 4, 5, whatever it is, looked like a nice guy, got a nice girlfriend. You don't take the responsibility for something that you weren't involved with in writing.
I'm not taking responsibility.
You are. You did. This, sir, in league, I'm speaking. Don't
Sorry.
speak when I speak.
Sorry.
She may permit that. I don't. Somebody who accepts responsibility by saying, let me take it and see if I can get it done cheaper, and if not, I'm trying to, please understand that I have a lot on my plate now, and I'm trying to resolve this as soon as I can.
But I'm not accepting responsibility.
Well, sir, in legal terms, it's a good thing you're not a lawyer, because in legal terms, that is as close to an admission of guilt as you can possibly get. As close to.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
If she said to you, look, pull the hoodie over your head, I want you to go in, hold up the store, would you do that?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
It's against the law.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Piero Fanini claims his vehicle was dented by Chris Baraby's head. Piero claims a drunken Chris fell into the vehicle.
At any time, Christopher, after you left, did you call the police and said, listen, I gave this man my identification because I was told to give him my identification, but I want it indicated in your report that I never did anything to his car.
I tried to talk to the officer.
Instead, you had a series of emails back and forth, no less than 4, all of which acknowledged financial responsibility for this.
Can I speak about the inconsistencies in their testimony?
I'm not relying on their testimony, sir. He never made an identification of you by your face. He made an identification of you generally by your clothing description. If that was all that there was, the case would have been dismissed. Period. End of discussion.
I was dressed the same as all other 100,000 people.
Listen to me. Christopher, I want you to listen to me. Put on your listening ears, sir.
Okay.
If all that there was to this case was Jordan's testimony about his identification of you, the case would have been dismissed. I would not have been satisfied that you were properly identified as the person who fell into his car and dented it.
I wasn't.
No question. Your emails were all the confession that I needed. Your acknowledgement of fiscal responsibility and being prepared to accept financial responsibility was all that I needed to say somebody who is an intelligent, articulate person, at least he would put it in his email. Listen, I didn't do this damage to your car, but I want to resolve this.
That was what
listen to me. I didn't do this damage to your car. However, in order to resolve this issue, so that we don't have to go any further with it, I accept responsibility to pay half of the damage. Do you want me to show you your emails and you're going to point out to me where you say that anywhere? No, you didn't.
Read that in there, but that's not what I'm talking about. I mean, I talked with them over the phone and admitted that I didn't do it. I talked to them about it.
Show me in the email where you say that, sir.
There was communication other than the emails.
Well,
Several.
then it serves a very important lesson to everybody. Don't put it in writing. Judged for the plaintiff in the amount of $915. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I would imagine a football hit it, anything.
I mean, he could easily been drunk and not have remembered hitting his head.
That was my first USC football game, and, I'll go back again. I'll just, I don't know, have better luck, I guess.
I think she made the good decision, and, I'm glad it's over with.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Mellinger versus Scott. Step forward, please.
Terry Mellinger is suing her son's former friend, 20-year-old Kenny Scott, for a loan for a motel room.
Is this your son?
Yes, ma'am.
How many children do you have?
Just the one, sir, ma'am.
Doesn't he have long pants?
He does, Your Honor, but he just flew in from Tucson where he's working out in the field and he's staying in a motel, so he has limited access to clothes other than his work clothes.
Could you bring him a pair of long pants?
But I just...
I mean, he's not going to the beach.
I know, and I apologize. Okay. I just wasn't thinking.
Ms. Mellinger, this is your complaint. Mr. Scott is a friend of your son's. Are you wearing long pants?
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
According to your complaint, the two of them went off oil drilling something, got a job someplace,
Correct.
and they were rooming together. And according to you, you made a loan to Mr. Scott in the amount of $500 because he was short on cash. Stand up on your own 2 feet with your long pants, Mr. Scott. Mr. Scott says that you sent money, but you sent money at your son's request to your son. There was never an agreement by him to pay you back. That's your defense.
Yes, Your Honor.
This is your mother?
Yes, this is my mom, Charlotte.
Okay. Where did you go to work, Mr. Scott?
Well, at the time, we were stationed in Nevada, and then the following hitch, we were supposed to go down to Tucson.
And where is your home?
I live in Spokane, Washington.
How old are you?
20.
Were you paying your own way when you went to do this oil drilling?
Yes, I was.
You paid your own rent?
Not at home, no.
I'm talking about when you lived with him, when you were working. You were living together, correct, in a motel?
Correct.
Who was paying the bill?
He was.
Why?
Because I was unemployed before that, and we agreed that we would split the motel costs after I got paid, and I hadn't got paid until 2.5 weeks into the hitch.
Okay, and once you got paid, did you give him back the money?
No.
Why?
Well, because Mrs. Mellinger had came to me saying that she wired Dustin some money and that I was supposed to have been given it, so I owed her the $500, and I started to make payments, and...
Am I scaring you? Am I scaring you?
No.
That's too bad. I must try harder. Now, you went to live with Dustin and you had an agreement, and your agreement with Dustin was, quite reasonably, that you would go to this place where you could both work and make a good living, make some money, and that you would split the room. But you didn't have any money.
Right.
So what Dustin does is he calls his mother and says, Mom, Kenny doesn't have any money. So I'm going to need some money to tide us over.
We talked about this agreement before we even left town. I said, I'm going to be broke. I'm going to not have any food. I'm going to need some help.
And?
He didn't help me with food or anything. He just paid for the hotel room, gave me a place to sleep.
Who paid the rest of the money? Your mother?
My mom had wired me some money for
How
food.
much did your mother wire you? No, don't look at her. I'm asking you, how much did your mother wire you?
$200.
About $200. And I'm sure your mother has proof of that, right?
Yes.
Right?
I Western Union the money and tried to get the receipt from them, and we didn't have time to get that.
Baloney. How much was the motel room?
Well, the first one we stayed at was a little higher price.
How much was the hotel room?
It's about $25 a night.
And how many nights were you there?
The first one we were there maybe about 4 or 5, and then we switched over because that hotel was run down.
Stand up. No, I can't stand to look at your knees. Over here. $25 a night. What was the second room?
Second room was the same. $25 a night, 25.
And how many nights in total were you there?
The second room?
Both rooms.
Both rooms.
Dustin?
Okay. The first hotel was about 5 days, and the second hotel about 21 days in the second hotel, something like that.
So you worked a total of 26 days?
Yes.
$650 plus tax, right? So it probably comes to close to $800. Did you, in fact, give Dustin back $400?
No, I didn't, Your Honor.
Why not?
Well, it was told to me that I owed his mother. I did not owe Dustin.
You owed somebody for half the motel room.
I realized that.
So my question is, why didn't you pay it to either Dustin or his mother?
I started to pay it to his mother.
You did?
She agreed that $100 a month would work, and I gave her $100
good.
cash.
Right.
And next thing I knew, I had a letter in the mail saying we're going to court.
Did he give you $100 in cash?
Yes, ma'am. He did give me $100 in cash.
Did you write 2 checks to Mrs. Mellinger
Yes, I did.
on an account that didn't have any money?
Yes, Your Honor.
Don't encourage him. When you have a debt in this world, you're supposed to repay it. You're not supposed to take money from strangers and then make them enemies by not paying them back. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
The quickest way to lose a friend is to loan them money. I want you to remember that forever.
I will.
If you're a good guy and you lend somebody money, you lend a friend money, there's only one thing that I know for certain. You're going to lose that friend and you're going to be the bad guy. That's a lesson your mother should have learned a long time ago.
Your Honor, I've told Dustin that time and time again, but I am the guilty one here.
Well, you're the guilty one.
I
Because
didn't
here's
do
a
what I
young man
normally do.
who has a mother. If he needed money, he should have called his mother.
Right.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $400. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I always felt that I owed someone the money, and I was willing to make payments. I just didn't know who to pay the money to.
He lied to me and told me that he was currently working.
He told me he wasn't working, so I said, well, you know, you need to call my mom and tell her what's going on.
He just wanted to get me basically off his back.
I was told from some of the other co-workers that he went and saw some hookers.
That's not true.
I don't think that's going to affect our friendship.
I don't know, right now, after that comment, I think it's pretty much over, you know?
John Reed versus Kozak. Step forward, please.
Everett Reed spotted Barbara Kozak after she was escorted from a casino in Palm Springs. A relationship blossomed, but wilted, he says, when she skipped from a Las Vegas hotel room with his luggage.
Order, all rise. Judges number 52 on the calendar, the matter of Reed versus Kozak. The parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated.
I've been a judge for a long time, and I thought I heard it all. And then I read these papers, and I was wrong. You're suing this lady for stealing a bag that contained your clothes from a motel room that you were sharing together on some sort of an odyssey that I don't quite understand. So I'd like you to take it from the top and tell me how you met and how you ended up in a motel room together. And then we're going to get to your countersuit, because you're countersuing him for wasting your time.
Yes.
Wonderful. Bert?
Order. Order.
Your Honor, sometime in August of this year,